Hey, ItzZeph, and welcome to another cozy build time in Ark Ascended. Today's episode continues to follow my journey in Ark, where I began building a greenhouse structure. And today, I will show you the build process of said structure. So, grab a snack, a drink, get cozy. Enjoy the music, and let's build. Okay, we're going to start with the foundation and go backwards. There we go. Next, let's place the bottom floor walls as well as the front porch area. Now let's work on the higher parts of the roof and the walls. Now the trick that we did with that house over there, we are not going to do with here, as it provides no actual benefit and simply waste materials for this. It also doesn't really look that good. So, here we go. We're going to push this back. And we're going to pull this back as well. Like I said before, changing your design to make it fit a bit better is always good, especially if it didn't look right the first time. There we go. Now we have a good box right in the center. This will be for the farther upstairs area. Speaking of, let's go ahead and design that. Now, which way do we bring this in? This seems nice, but let's try the other way and see how that looks. I think I like this shape a little bit more. Alright, now that we have this all down, let's add some doors. And now for testing, we're going to place some of these. As you can see, we are getting the full 300%. Now with that down, let's actually go ahead and place all of these crops. There we go. This is for the first floor area. gives us plenty of room to walk around in. But obviously, there's going to be a second floor to this. Let's go ahead and work on that. First, let's get us some stairs. We're going to be using wood ceilings and quarter ceilings as our second floor area, with the addition of greenhouse ceilings, where they need to be. Now let's place some more. As you can see, they are still perfectly fine, even with the wood. We will do detailing later. Let's continue. Place some more of these. Okay, now that we have these down, some people think that whenever you do this and you have another one on top of it, just above, it blocks the light. But I can assure you, it still works. 300%. There. This clears it up just a little bit, and that might affect it. Let's go check. As you can see, still fine. This is the second floor. Now, let's make a third. All the floors placed. These are still fine. Now, let's go upstairs and place some more prop plots. Now, as you can see, these ones stick out a little bit more. We will be placing smaller ones here. Now with some medium ones, these ones should fit just nicely underneath the glass. Now if you wish, you could also still use the large crop plots and not worry about that, or alternatively, you could bring them a little bit closer to the center where they cover up some of the center part. But we're just doing this so it makes sense, and also I'm probably just going to use berries for these ones. There we go. We'll use a simple staircase right around here. And now we can work on the upstairs, the third floor. The fourth floor. As you can see, we are losing a lot of room here. We only have a little bit of wood in the center. This is fine. Now let's place some more crop plots. In order to maximize how much crops we have, I decided to fit them in a bit more snug. Let's do the same on this side. Perfect. The fourth floor is done. Now, move on to the fifth and final floor. Alright, as you can see, we don't have that much room up here on the near final floor. So, just like we did with the other floors, we're going to first place some greenhouse walls. Greenhouse ceilings. Doing that has not affected anything down here. Just to show you that it's still perfectly fine, let's go down the stairs. As you can see, all of these are perfectly fine. No issues. Now let's head back upstairs. Just this space. That's perfectly fine. We can keep this middle area and place our crop plots. And now we can work on some living space. So where is stuff going to go? Well, first off, we're going to work on the final floor. This will be simply a hatch frame and basically the attic of the entire place. We're also going to remove these walls to make way for a slight, small balcony. Place a door right there. There we go. A small balcony. Now, let's build the final floors. Feel free to use whatever ladder you think feels necessary, and positioned however you wish. And now, we have the final floor. As you can see, nothing is affected. So what do we put up here? Well, you might be saying, okay, well, probably some more greenhouse ceilings, correct? Well, let's see what happens when we do that. Let's go down the hatch. And oh no, the greenhouse effect has dipped for these ones. Alright, what about these ones down here? Still dipped. This has effectively destroyed the entire percentages all the way downstairs, except for these ones on the far side. But as you can see, placing those ceilings is going to effectively kill the entire greenhouse. Okay, so what do we put here then? Well, it's quite simple actually. Just like in the lodge, we're going to place some walls. These ones will be railing walls. Alternatively, you could use metal if you want it to sort of fit in line with the other stuff. Here we go. However, we're also going to take the bottom ones and there we go. Nice little windows off to the side. Now, does this affect the crops? As you can see, no. It doesn't affect anything down here. Everything is still 300% all the way through. And it can even double as living space. Now, of course, warning, everything, all dinosaurs, all creatures in this game can destroy greenhouse structures. So this is effectively, well, I mean, it's a glass house. It isn't going to withstand a titanosaur. In fact, it would crumble at the very sight of a titanosaur. So that is the final stuff for the actual building on the inside. Of course, though, there is some detailing we must do. We've placed all the crops, but obviously we still need irrigation as well. But before we do all that, we'll do that at the end. Let us now work on the structuring. We're going to go back down to the bottom floor. Now, to be in line and to make a little bit more sense, we're going to be placing some stone columns first. The stone pillars will only be used for downstairs. Now, let's go upstairs and place some wood pillars. Next floor. And finally, the final floor. And for the top floor, we're not going to add any, so that we still have more room up here. Now, back down to the bottom floor. With the supports down, we can now work on some more detailing for here. First, I missed one more pillar. Right now, for the detailing, let's first add some wooden beams. Let's go upstairs and do the same thing. And now, finally, for up here. We will go ahead and add some beams as detailing for the sides up here, as well off to the side, as to sort of act like supports in some way. I'm going to replace these so that they're more efficient. Now, as you can see, this is poking out the sides, but we will get to that later. Okay, now we're back down here. So now I think we're going to start placing walls. Now, obviously, placing some walls might affect the greenhouse effect, so let's only place the walls that we need. For instance, right here and here is where we're going to keep our refrigerators and possibly preserving bins. So let's place those. There we go. We placed those. As you can see, these are not affected. Alright, let's go upstairs and do the next ones. Up here, we are going to do railings. One right here, one right here. We're going to place a wall here, and a wall there. Let's real quick place one more thing of railing. Right there, and there. Let's head upstairs. Up here, we're going to use sloped walls. One for here, one for here, and a railing. We're also going to place railings here. Now we are going to place something here, and that'll be for later, but we're putting a railing here as a bit of a wall. Now up here, put a wall there, put a railing, and a railing there. And that is it for up here. Now finally, for the final floor. Here is pretty simple. A railing here, and a railing outside. Now, if you want to, you could also use metal railings, as metal railings make a little bit more sense here. But obviously, this could be a good bit of materials for just single railings. But it is whatever you want it to be. For up here, we already put the railings and the walls, so we do not have to worry about doing this stuff up here. As you can see, still 300%. The outside. Now, as you can see, we have a lot of jutting out wood pieces and places that might not look too good. In fact, they don't look that good. Some things like this can be easily looked over, but for other stuff, it's a bit harder to. So first, let's place the foundation walls. Let's place some stone pillars. There we go, a good foundation. This is our first way of dealing with the outside problems. Now, as you can see, that did in fact cover some of the stuff, but there's still a good bit left. Now what do we do next? What we can do now is get past this and go to this floor. We'll add the beam all the way around. As you can see, that hid a little bit of the wood right there, as well as made these look more like detailings. Now obviously this does not affect the greenhouse effect. Now let's move on up here. If we use these, we can do a little bit of detailing like this. Just like that. As you can see, that added just a little bit of detailing for those parts of the roofs. We're going to place these here. That'll get rid of that bit of wood. We'll put some more right here. Put that there. And finally, for up here, And that is that part of the roof. As you can see, the stone detailing does take away some, if not most, of the wooden jutting out pieces. Now obviously you could go through and maybe change or fix some of the stuff. Like for instance here, we could simply add, maybe instead of the other ones, we can flip it on this side. Slightly different detail, and it hides the wood just a little bit more. Alternatively, you could also use metal, but that hides a little less. The final little bit of detailing I will do is hide some of this, which I'll do by putting those there. Just for the front though, not for the back. As you can see, that sort of cleaned up the look of the house. There is still, of course, the issue with the downstairs stairs, which we could fix by simply not using these and instead switching to something like, maybe for the first floor, instead of a wood staircase, use a stone, which slightly looks a little flatter and blends in a little bit more. To me, I think this is fine. This will be what the bottom floor looks like, and then you go up the stone staircase to get up here. Another thing to show is that if you want to go for less of a stone structure, and you do use the metal railings, they work really well for a Victorian era metal detailing for the top, like that. In fact, I like it so much, we are going to do that. I turned this into a sort of a Victorian era greenhouse. I will still keep the stone structures in areas where I think it might hide a little bit more, like that. Now obviously, this is a very railing heavy build, which can be good, can be bad, but if you do intend on building this in survival like I do, it might take a while. Especially if you need all this crystal. Okay, now that we have a sort of a Victorian style for the roof, let's now move on to actually building the inside, as there's nothing much more we could do out here. There's a few things, obviously. You could do some stuff underground, underneath this area, in the case you have more room down here. Or if it's like mine in my survival, where it's going to be off to the side of the cliff, this could be a good area to put maybe some hidden loot or gear or something, whatever it might be. Now the next part we're going to deal with is the actual irrigation. Now obviously this varies heavily depending on where you are. In my survival, it's basically right under. And here, obviously this is on a different map, you're going to have to go find a place for your intake, and you're going to have to find a way to get the intake to affect your stuff up top. So I'm going to real quick start making that. There we go. Now I have a little irrigation tank right there. You could also alternatively put it inside, but I'm just going to hide it off to the side over there. Now, let's get to the actual irrigation part, where we start placing all these taps. The taps in this game can easily be put right on top of the wall, which is why we put these pillars here. So, first, we're going to go ahead and put one... We're going to put our first ones right here. As you can see, this irrigates quite a lot. In fact, this irrigates so much we don't need to put any more down. Now obviously, this is for style reasons and nothing more, so we are going to put more down. Put another over here. And finally, up here, we'll put one for there. And then up here, just so that we have it, we'll put a tap right here. Now, obviously, the noise could be a bit irritating, especially if you don't like the sounds of running water like this. So you could simply close the tap. This will get rid of all the noise. As you can see, though, everything is irrigated. You really only need one thing. In fact, I think it actually is irrigated by this water tank, but we're just going to say that's that. Irrigation is done. Obviously, you can place more if you want them. Stone looks different. You don't need to use these ones. But there you go. That's the irrigation done. Now, we still have a few more things we got to place down. Obviously, furniture. First off, we're going to start with placing a generator. Now obviously, you can place this generator anywhere you wish. I'm going to be placing mine right here. You can have yours outside, or wherever you want. Now if we put our generator in the center, it will affect the entire thing. We're going to keep it on, turn off that though, the range, and now we can start placing some things. Since this is a more electric focused build, we're going to also be using omnidirectional lamps. Let's do the lamps for the bottom floor. One here. There we go. All lamps have been placed. Now obviously you can put more or less, depending on however you want them to be. You can also color them too, if you didn't know. So if you want to go through with a paintbrush and paint these all to be red, blue, green, whatever, you can. But now you have this. There we go. There is all of those down. If you wish, you can, instead of using wood pillars here or wood pillars here, you could switch those out for stone to make it easier, make it fit a bit more. Anyway though, there's that. Now we'll go ahead and move on to some more items. More specifically, let's switch to using some preserving bins. Let's put one here and here. There we go. 2 preserving bins right here. Should have enough to use for any of this. Should be enough. If you need more, you could easily fit some more in here. You could also simply place these in the wall, like this and this. As you can see, they don't jut out, and they fit quite nicely. And you can fit another row just right here, 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 just like that. There's a nice little save right there for you. You can fit 4 right here. Now over on this side is where we're going to put our refrigerators. These ones are much more large, but just like for over there, put that right there. If you place another, it will jut out like that. So we are not going to place another right here. We're instead going to go over here and see how it closes the space like that. That means we also can't place stuff right there. So if you want to do this, you can. But for just better looks, we're going to put it right there and right there. two fit perfectly together, right there. And they don't jut out. Now, what about seed storage? Now, obviously for storage, you could do a few things. One thing you could do is just throw an entire vault right in the center of the room. There you go. And this could be where you store all of your seeds for this floor. This could also be where you put the rest, like some produce that you get, throw it in here. But obviously, for just some seeds, you don't really need an entire vault. So instead, for down here, we're going to place a large storage box there and there. Feel free if you wish to put a wall here that'll separate this a bit more. That's for the first floor. We'll put another one here and another one here for this floor. Pretty easy to get to. And finally, for up here, we'll place one box right there. For this over here, we'll place the box here. And finally, for up here, this one's small enough that you don't really need to place a box, but if you wish, you could place one here. However, we're actually going to place it right behind the ladder. There we go. And you can still climb. Now, something I've realized is that back here is actually perfect for a nice wall. So let's take this up, put this here, and put a double doorway right there. And also, of course, some doors. Now obviously we put railings up here like this, but we can easily change this and flip them to go this way. We're actually going to change these out for flipped metal railings. And now you can have a nice little balcony out here too. Now these ones are going to come up because, if you didn't know, upside down you can just walk right over them. Like that. Let's pick this up, place them down the right way. In fact, because we changed that, we might as well change this too. Now it's all the same going that way. Now at this point, we are basically done. We're going to place a few more things though before the end. Something you could do is with beer barrels, you could go ahead and go downstairs with like a staircase, whether that be right here, which would be good, or right here. You'd have to move these, but that's fine. And then you could put basically a winery downstairs. Another thing you can do is if you don't like how many plots there are, you could take out some of these and replace them with things like an industrial cooker, like how I have here. Instead, place it right there. You could do things like add a chemistry bench if you wish. I'm going to put a beer barrel right there, right under the staircase. And finally, up at the very top is where there's going to be a bedroom of some kind. I'm going to grab some beds, bunk beds, place one here, place one there. I'll put a chemistry bench right there. With a few storage cabinets right there. And finally, I'll put a grill up here. So there we go. 2 bunk beds, a grill, chemistry bench, all up here on the top floor. Lots of space, lots of things up here, and it looks quite nice. Now, obviously, the last thing that you might want to do is add a compost bin. Compost is, of course, how you're actually going to have fertilizer and stuff. However, if you have a bunch of dung beetles, you could do it that way. Instead of having all these, you could have this area up here be, instead of a bunch of compost bins like this, which fits perfectly like that, you could instead have a very large amount of dung beetles right up here. But there we go. We could add things like benches, you could add signs, and much more, like trophy mounts. But that's the build. I hope you all have enjoyed this build, and or it has given you some inspiration for future builds. And above all else, I hope you all have been cozy throughout. Whether you followed along, watched in satisfaction, or just put this on in the background to chill out to. Whatever the case, I hope it all turned out well for you in the end. Anyway, I wish you all a happy New Year's, and I hope this year leads to great things for you. You can do it. Know that you matter and have a purpose. And I love you all. Stay cozy, and I'll see ya.